Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, Made with Love. My name is Heather and today is Saturday, May 10th of 2025. So today is my son's birthday. He is 20 years old today. So he came home last night. It was about 11:30 o'clock last night. He's leaving, going back to where he lives Monday late or early Tuesday morning. He's not quite sure the exact time, so he's just basically home for the weekend for his birthday and Mother's Day. So I'm gonna make a cake. I got this from Dollarama. I think they were like about $2 for the cake mix. I don't remember. The prices kind of go up. They also vary depending on the brand as well. So it's either $1.75 or $2. I can't remember. And same with the tub of icing. The tub of icing I know was $2.25, and these are both Betty Crocker. So I'm gonna make this cake mix to kind of not taste so much like a cake mix, kind of make it seem more like a homemade cake. So the basic ingredients that you need to do this is 1 cup of water, 1/3 cup of oil, and 3 eggs. So I'm actually going to substitute the water for milk because that actually makes it more creamy. That's just my oven. It's already been preheated to 350. But I'm going to change the milk for whipping cream. It's just going to make it a little bit fluffier, more homemade. And then I got my 1/3 of a cup of oil here. And I've got 3 eggs. So I'm just going to open this cake mix first. And I'm just having trouble opening the bag. Sometimes you can tear these, sometimes you can't. So I'm going to move the camera down so you can see what I'm doing. So just the cake mix. I got my 1/3 cup of oil. Now one of the things I like to do to help get the oil out of the here is I like to add my eggs with the oil. I just think it just, I don't know, makes it just easier to get the oil out of the container. Something I like to do. And I need 1 cup of milk, and I like to grab the other measuring cup. And that's the other thing I like to do is doing this, having these in separate containers or separate little bowls or whatever. I can alternate between my milk and other liquids. Just gonna make sure that is a full cup. Yes, it is. So I'm just gonna pour some of the whipping cream in here. I like to do this with my, if I had my stand mixer, but it's just a store-bought cake mix. There's no point in bringing out my stand mixer. Oops. If I was making it from scratch, then yes, I would, because my stand mixer, I have the scale and sifter on it, which I love to use when I'm baking. And like I said, the whipping cream just really makes this so much more creamier than just water or milk. And I like to get every little bit of the stuff out of the bowls here, or measuring cups. I'm just using a little spatula, especially the whipping cream. I find it is a little thick. Has trouble coming out. And I'm mixing around. I don't know if you can see, but I've got the 1 egg yolk that just does not want to incorporate in here. It just, there we go. Now it broke. There, so I got this all stirred and mixed in. Got my pans here, which I did not spray. Not sure if any of these have anything left in them, but they do. And I have this one. This one, they were bought from Dollar Tree. So $1.25 for my cooking spray. Excuse me. I don't really like this dollar store cooking spray. I find it just, I don't know, the fumes from this I don't like. I do have my other one. It's just, I don't remember if it's the PC brand or no name, but it's from Superstore. And it is the coconut or olive oil cooking spray. Those I like. But I've got a couple of these left over from my day home, and I'm just trying to use them up. Okay, now I'm going to move this cake mix into the, divide it between the two bowls here. Of course, it's all stuck here in the whisk. I like using the whisk for this because it really, you know, helps to make things fluffy, but then it all gets caught here in the little, I don't know what you call these little, I don't know. If it was something else, it would be a blade, or it was like a fork, it's a tine. I don't know what you call the little metal parts of a whisk, but divide these between the two cake pans here. I'll put these in the oven. Like I said, my oven is already preheated to 350 degrees. And then the amount of time it takes, the amount of time it takes to cook depends on the thickness and the size of the pans. I will read the box in just a second here. So I'm just going to get this cake mix divided and I'll be right back. All right, I've got the batter divided between the two pans. So I'm using, I don't know if mine are 8-inch or 9-inch round pans. I always forget because I've got an assortment of various baking ones. So the two 8-inch will take 26 to 31 minutes and the two 9-inch will take 22 to 27 minutes. So I'm going to set my timer for 25 minutes. I think these are 8-inch, but they're also thin. So maybe I'll set my timer for 20 minutes. Because I also have the convection oven, so it does cook a little faster. So I'll put these in the oven and I'll set my timer for 20 minutes. Took me a second to figure out which button to press. I've got 20 minutes and I press start. So I've got my timer set on my stove for 20 minutes. Okay, it's just beeping at me telling me that it was set. So I'll be back in 20 minutes to check the cake. All right, so my timer just went, so it's telling me that time to check the cakes. Like I said, this will be 25 minutes. And just by pulling them out, I can already tell they are not quite ready, but I will show you. So that was, or 20 minutes, I mean, that was 20 minutes. I can tell they're almost done, but not quite. I'm going to say I cannot find my cake tester. I cannot find any toothpicks. So I'm just going to use a little fork and just give it a prick right here in the middle. It is coming out clean. What was that one? Maybe they are done. I'm just going to leave them in the oven for 2 minutes while I get the cooling rack out. So I think they seem like they're done. I'm going to turn my stove off. Okay, that's not the right button. There. My stove is now turned off. I'm just going to leave those there. I'm going to go grab the cooling racks and I'll be right back. Alright, so I got my cooling racks. I just washed them off quickly as well. I'm going to start with this one. Let's see how easy it is to do this. Sometimes it is so easy, sometimes it is not so easy. This one here, flip it over, and oops, that's it like that. Grab the other cooling rack here, bring cake out, the cooling rack on, and flip it over, and set it down. Now we'll see how easy it is to come out. Sometimes those are just too big. Just grab. This may not work either. It just does not want to come out of the pan. Oh, there, that one came out. This one should do the same. It doesn't want to come out of the pan. So we'll just flip it back over. And just see where is it stuck. And then I just take a little spatula here and I just go around the edge with the spatula. Kind of helps loosen it up. This is the one that there was a little bit of cake batter stuck up on the top of the pan and underneath. Okay. Now I will try this again. Turn it over. Now it should come loose. Doesn't quite want to come loose. I'll just give it a minute like this one does. A little bit of the cake got stuck here. I'm just gonna scrape it off and just stick it back on like that. And I'm just gonna get the other cake loosened now too. So I will be, oops. What did I do? So I'm just gonna work on this one, but I will let them cool, and when they're ready to be iced, I'll be back to make the icing. Okay, so the cake is cooled, so now I've got my frosting here, and I'm using the Betty Crocker whipped vanilla. And what I like to do is take it out of its container here. I'm just going to get it into a bowl. Sometimes it's easy to come out, sometimes it doesn't want to come out. But I'm just going to give this a good mix with my little whisk here. And I'm also going to add a little bit of the Cool Whip, or the 35% whipping cream. Just kind of make it a lot easier to spread. Like, you can ice the cake with this frosting right out of this container, but I find if you just take the time to scrape it all out, and then by adding a little bit of milk or whipping cream to it, kind of helps a little bit better. I forgot to grab whipping cream out of my fridge. And a whisk does a really good job of this. Even just whisking it like this just whips it up, makes it so much lighter and fluffier. I'm just going to pour a little bit of this whipping cream in here. And this is definitely going to give it a nice smooth texture, and it's going to make it taste more homemade. One thing I could do is I can add some vanilla to this, and I realized I left my vanilla downstairs in the pantry. So I'm just going to run down and grab the vanilla extract. Right, so I'm just going to add a little bit of vanilla. By doing this, it's going to change the color to look more like homemade icing. And it's going to change the flavor, and it's going to have it that less sugary, artificial sweetener that the tub icing gives. I'm going to add in some more of this whipping cream. I'm just going to pour all the rest of this whipping cream in, just because I didn't have a lot left. And when I did that, that is just going to make it just a little too runny. I knew it was going to happen, so kind of using store-bought icing, but I've also got my own bag of icing sugar here. I'm going to pour a little bit of this in just to thicken it, just because I added a little bit too much of that whipping cream in here. I wasn't measuring, I just kind of poured some in, and it's just too runny. So when I went down to get the vanilla, I grabbed the icing sugar. Wasn't planning on actually using icing sugar in my icing, but it does happen. You add a little bit too much milk or cream, and then you got to add a little bit of icing sugar to thicken it up. There we go. That's a lot better. Now it's still a little runny. Keep mixing this. But I'll say it definitely does not look like homemade icing now. But I definitely did not want to do this step. I was just trying to, make the tub icing taste more homemade. Now, because I'm adding icing sugar to it, it is definitely going to taste more homemade, which is okay. It's now going to give me a little bit more icing anyways. There, now it's got really thick icing. I'm going to set this aside, and I'm going to grab the cakes. Wash this off because I just splashed it with whipping cream. Try this. I got to wipe off my counter. I'll do that in a minute. Okay. I'm just going to lift up these cakes. Now this cake here is the one that was having trouble coming out of the pan, and it kind of got stuck to the pan. Did something funny. So I'm going to put this like this. Oh, shoot. And of course it got stuck in here. There we go. Just going to fix this. This is why I chose to have this broken cake. This is my bottom layer. I guess I'll just finish icing the cake over here. This is where I'm standing now. Just need a little bit of icing here. So get some icing between the layers of cake. I do like a thicker layer of icing between my layers of cake here, so I'm just trying to get a little bit more here. There. And just this to go right on top. And I'll pour some of the icing on. Now I've got more icing than I need for this cake. That is fine. I can do something else with the icing another day. I just slowly work the icing from the center of the cake down to the sides. Let's put another little bit of icing on top. Just I like the effect I get when I do this. So sometimes I find if I pour the icing too much on top and let it drizzle down, I'll end up with too much and then it runs off the plate. Now I can just start to go around the sides. Just kind of clean this up. It's still a little runny near the bottom here. I could probably use some more icing sugar to thicken it, but then it's going to change the the flavor of the icing, and I like the way this icing is tasting already. Like I said, it's just, you know, there, like that. So this is just for my son's birthday. You know, it's just a family thing. The cake, I think, looks really good. It's going to taste good. Now, other things I have is I have the little happy birthday and numbered candles. So I'm going to stick these in here. To move those, I'll just put some icing here to cover up the other holes. My son is 20, so I'm going to find the 2 and the 0. And then I've got sprinkles here. I've got just blue sugar. And in this one here, I've got gold stars. And I've also got some other gold sprinkles. Actually, I'm just going to pour it into my hand. Still some in there. And then there's these little gold stars. And there's some other sprinkles in here. So I'll just go and put this cake in the fridge until it's time for, you know, but there is my birthday cake for my son. Just a very simple, basic cake. Again, the icing, I just added a little too much whipping cream. I didn't realize how much was left in the bottle. I thought it was a lot less. So when I just poured a little in, I poured way more than I needed. I usually measure, and I need barely a quarter cup is what I add. So that happens sometimes when you're just making things fast and you're not measuring. You can always add too much ingredient of one item. Luckily, I actually had icing sugar in my pantry, so I could fix that. So yeah, our cake that we will have much later tonight. Again, I want to say thank you so much to everybody who subscribes to my channels and watches my videos, and I will see you in the next ones. Bye.